For Romans, breakfast wasn't the most important meal of the day. In general, they had a light breakfast of bread and water, and then they had a light lunch of bread and cheese or fruit or something along those lines. And then the main meal was dinner, or cena, which started about 4 p.m. and could go on for hours, especially if they were having a dinner party and they were having multiple courses. This is where the variety of their diet came in, and because of location of Pompeii and Herculaneum, with the access to trade routes and the local ports and the booming fishing industry in the Bay of Naples, they both higher class citizens and freedmen generally had quite a varied diet over quite a consistent period of time. But not so much for slaves, who seem to have generally just had a diet of bread, unless it was a Saturnalia, in which the switching round of events meant they could have more elaborate meals. But in general, the cardio v sewer, instead of with the other sewers in Herculaneum, where they would run around onto the beach, cardio v is a self-enclosed cesspit. They had a slight inclination, so it's slightly moving down, but it's mostly stationary. And when the ash and pomace is set over the remains, it's meant that we have from remains we can tell what remains came from which shoot, so we can see the different status of each apartment, and we can see that generally the higher status and the more lower status apartments had a consistently varied diet, although there were some foods in the higher status areas that were more expensive and weren't available to the lower class areas. But it's much more varied diet than they'd come to expect before we'd found this sort of evidence.